Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Spin Cycle Live. I am your host, Nathan Hale. We are here on a very special episode of the show. I am at a different location for this. I am on spring break this week from school, so it's been great, but it means that I have a new backdrop and I'm the usual studio, but I couldn't leave you all without the great news that has happened all throughout today on Monday. Today is Monday, March 24th, 2025, and we got a lot to go through. So let's get right into it. But I hope you are doing so good. We will still have our usual episode here on Wednesday as well. Same background, but next week we'll be right back to our normal episodes. So stay tuned for all of that. But how are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. Hope it's a nice day outside. It's beautiful. It's like, I don't know, like 65 degrees outside right here in the city that I am in. So hope you're having a great day. Hope it's nice and warm out. Hope you can come out from being in hibernation like I have been for all this time. But we will get right into it with our first story. This comes out of the Financial Post. So, Financial Post, Trump to highlight Hyundai plans for $20 billion U.S. investment. President Donald Trump will tout plans by Hyundai Motor Co. to invest $20 billion in the U.S. as the South Korean automaker moves to boost production on American soil and avoid his tariff threats, according to a person familiar with the matter. So where's my mouse at? Here we go. All right. So Bloomberg, President Donald Trump will tout plans by Hyundai Co. Blah, blah. Okay, I already read that. Excuse me. I'm highlighting things twice. I'm a little off, guys. Sorry about that. All right. So some of the investment will go towards building a mill in Louisiana to produce steel for electric vehicles made in the U.S. The plant is expected to employ about 15,000 workers, according to the person familiar. Plans for Hyundai to build a so-called electric arc furnace in the U.S. have been widely discussed in the domestic steel market since the beginning of the year. Hyundai is the latest foreign company to spotlight plans to ramp up production in the U.S. as Trump escalates a trade war amid forcing manufacturers to create more American jobs. The president has already put in place levies on steel and aluminum and is poised to announce even more sweeping import taxes on April 2nd. On that date, the administration is expected to unveil reciprocal tariffs that will hit other nations with levies equal to the barriers they impose on U.S. goods. The 25% steel and aluminum tariffs incentivize foreign steelmakers to build inside American borders. Are expected to give a short-term profit boost to domestic producers, but there's a widespread worry that weak demand, ongoing inflation, continued high borrowing costs will act as massive headwinds to the industry. Trump's tariff push, a broad bid to reshape global trade flows, has rattled investors and raised worries that the moves may tip the U.S. economy into a downturn. Trump at times has reversed course or suspended import taxes, fueling uncertainty for business owners and investors. So I think that's all I wanted to highlight in that article. So right now, this is exactly where the Donald Trump tariff focus really shines, is putting tariffs on countries to incentivize them to come into the United States and add in to our American economy. This is where we really like to see those tariffs taking place. This happened kind of over the first administration, from what I remember, and it's happening now. These are the kind of tariffs to build up leverage that I really support and really like over what has happened in kind of the course of our economy so far has been other countries looking at what we're doing, putting tariffs on us, and that has negatively impacted our citizens living here in the United States. So this is great. We want to see more investment like this. This is really going to help to build up our economy even more, make us a much stronger economy. But that does lead me to our next story, which is about how other countries have been interpreting Donald Trump's tariffs, how they have been responding to them, and where they are right now. So let's talk about Canada. Talk about Canada a lot, but Canada is our northern neighbor. They're very important to understand, have a good relationship with. We've had a great relationship with Canada for years now, and I hope that doesn't go away. So this comes from Just the News. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney announces April 28th election seeks mandated deal with Trump. All right, so the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announced on Sunday that a federal election will take place next month as he seeks a positive mandate to deal with President Trump on trade and other issues. Like I was saying, this all has to do with things like the tariffs, things like becoming the 51st state of the country, and I'll talk about that more in just a minute. Let's finish reading the story first. Carney met with Governor General Mary Simon earlier on Sunday and made a request for Parliament to be dissolved. Carney will run against Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre on April 28th. Quote, I am asking Canadians for a strong, positive mandate to deal with President Trump and to build a new Canadian economy that works for everyone because I know we need change. Big change, positive change, Carney said on Sunday. Poilievre said he would ensure the, quote, independent and sovereignty of Canada, unquote, is recognized in negotiations with Trump on matters like trade. Quote, I will strengthen our country so that we can be capable of standing on our own 2 feet and standing up to the Americans where and when necessary, he said on Sunday. So that's the whole story. I think it's really disappointing to see what has happened with Canada in terms of their polling numbers. The Conservative Party was doing very, very good for quite a while, and all of a sudden Trump comes in office, starts talking about tariffing Canada, which, why are we tariffing Canada? They've been our closest trade ally. We have a trade surplus with Canada, right? Why are we tariffing them? And all of a sudden now the Conservative Party polling numbers tank into the ground because they are more supporters of Trump than the Liberals are, of course. And all this to say, I hope that the turnout in the Canadian election is extreme. I hope that people do not forget the terrible leadership that Canada has been under for years and elects a new party in power. And just to back all up, I have the polling numbers, the current polling numbers right now. So this is from CBC Canada. This is their polling numbers. And we can see here that the Conservatives and Liberals kind of had an up and down in mid-2022, April, May, June 2022, and the Conservatives finally overcame the Liberal Party on July 18th, 2022. And ever since then, 2022, 23, 24, and now going into 2025, they've been well ahead of the Liberals, with them really skyrocketing in July 2023. This is around the time that Donald Trump was really becoming a huge figurehead in the conservative movement in America. This is when he was almost assassinated, right? And they have shot off since then, with the Conservative Party with the Liberal Party absolutely tanking into the ground. So that takes us all the way to the peak of the Conservative Party polling, which is January 20th, 2025. They were polling at 44.8%, the Liberals at 20%, all the other parties underneath there, right? And Canada is a parliamentary system, right? What this means is that oftentimes there needs to be a coalition that is built, or you need to have an outright majority of seats to hold the prime ministership. So right now the Liberal Party holds the majority of the seats, which means that they get to choose who they want to be in the prime minister chair at this moment. Hopefully that changes and the Conservative Party is able to take over, put in Pierre Poilievre as the prime minister. That's who we are vying for. But you can see ever since January 20th, this is the day that Donald Trump was put into office, right? The Conservative Party has tanked in the polls, dropping them. They were at 44.5. They're now at, as of March 21st, just a couple days ago, March 23rd, excuse me, yesterday. They dropped all the way down to neck and neck, 37% with the Liberals, and the Liberal Party has shot up. My hope is that this ends here and it remains neck and neck, but that's not the current trend that we're seeing literally from this table here. The reason why, do not make a mistake about this. The reason why elections are being held on the day that they are is because that is when the Liberal Party feels that it would be most expedient for them to hold elections. That's when they feel they would be the best in voter turnout, the best in elections. So as we start to get closer, we'll see where those polling numbers are. But I can almost guarantee you the Liberal Party is going to continue to go up in the polls, getting closer and closer to the election date. And they're probably going to be doing pretty darn good by the time that that election date comes up, which is, what was it, April 28th. So we have roughly about a month for all these guys to campaign, to get out there, to really put the message to the Canadian people of where they are, how they're going to make the country better, and why we should be voting for the Conservative Party over any other party in Canada. That is my hope, and we will be sure to update you about all of that as it continues to happen. It's going to be an interesting election scene in Canada. We've had good elections throughout the rest of the world. We recently had elections that happened in Germany that turned out pretty good for the Conservatives over there. So hopefully that same is replicated here in Canada, and there is really, really good turnout more on the Conservative side of the aisle. But that is all I have to say about that. We're going to move on to our last story of the day. It's going to be a quick live stream today, guys. Didn't have all that much to talk about, but our last one has to do with the Supreme Court. So Trump takes challenges to judge's federal worker rehiring order to the Supreme Court. It's from Reuters. On March 24th, President Donald Trump's administration brought its bid to purge the federal workforce to the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday, challenging a judicial directive to rehire thousands of federal government employees and arguing that the judge overstepped his authority. The Justice Department, in a filing, asked the Supreme Court to block a March 13th order by San Francisco-based U.S. District Judge William Alsup for 6 federal agencies to reinstate thousands of probationary, meaning recently hired employees dismissed as part of Trump's campaign to downsize and reshape the government. The judge faulted the administration for improperly terminating en masse the probationary workers and cast doubt on the jurisdiction presented by the government that the firings were the result of poor employee performance. In its filing, the Justice Department said that Alsup's order lets the plaintiffs in the case, quote, hijack the employment relationship between the federal government and its workforce, unquote, violating the separation of power between the judiciary and the executive branches of government. These two branches, as well as the legislative branch, Congress, were established as co-equal in the U.S. Constitution in order to provide checks and balances to the power they wield. The court should stop the ongoing assault on the Constitution, the constitutional structure, before further damage is wrought, the department said. So this was from the Justice Department. The Justice Department said this. So what I think is so crazy about a lot of these Supreme Court cases is it begs to question who gets the say-so as to what happens to the federal employment. Right? Donald Trump is the chief executive, right? He's the CEO of the United States government. Does he not get the say-so as to what happens with the employment of those people in this country, right? On top of that, these are not current workers. These are brand new hires. A lot of these are interns. A lot of these are people who are just going into the job and everything, right? Why are we having them on right now? Why don't we sort out who we have in the federal government first, how we can restructure things to move around people who are currently working for us before we start bringing on all these new people? It'll be interesting to see how the Supreme Court rules. I suspect they'll rule in favor of Donald Trump, but it's crazy to me because you see this huge push from the left questioning who has the authority to govern the executive branch, right? Donald Trump is the president, right? He is the figurehead of the executive branch. He gets to call the shots, right? And there was that quote in the article that said that the judicial, executive, and Congress, the legislative, are all co-equal branches of the government, which is true in some parts, right? there's the whole theory that the bureaucracy is kind of the fourth branch of government, which, depending on who you talk to, is going to be, going to change opinions. But for all intents and purposes, right, they're co-equal branches, which is 100% true. But you're not seeing a push from Congress to put limitations on here, right? If Congress was sitting here saying, hey, no, we're passing legislation right now saying you can't do this. We want these people to stay on board. That's one thing to say, right? But Congress isn't doing that, right? The executive is the one who hired all these employees. The executive is the one who's given the privilege to use American taxpayer money to run the administrations as they see fit. Why are they not also given the privilege to be able to fire people who are in that branch, who are not providing effectively to the federal government, according to the chief executive, right? So it's an interesting story. I'm interested to see where this is going to go in terms of the Supreme Court ruling. How is it going to rule? How are things going to change? But with that, that's all I got for you guys today. Quick and easy episode, 20 minutes long. I hope you all have enjoyed it. I know that I have. And we will see you in the next episode here on Wednesday. Hopefully we have a little bit more to talk about then. I know we didn't have all that much to go over today, but that's all I found that was really interesting to me, that I thought was vital to share with you all today. But thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy it. Take some time to yourself. Have some good food tonight. And with that, I will see you all back here on Wednesday on this show, Spin Cycle Live. Remember, you can watch us on X, Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, all the places, right? Follow me on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter already, my username is @HomoNatian. Follow me there. If you're watching this on Twitter, just click that follow button right there. You probably already are if you're seeing this. But share this show with friends. Let people know how great the show is. Be like, hey, Nathan Hale, that guy, he's pretty great. His show rocks, right? He gives me the good news in a very, quick fashion, right? Just kind of goes over it, gives a little bit of opinion on it, and great show, right? Share us with friends. Let people know how great it's doing. Give us a like. Give us a follow on all those platforms. If you're not watching on YouTube or Rumble, give us a subscribe and everything there already. It helps sound the algorithm and everything. So even if you are watching on X, please go subscribe to us on YouTube and on Rumble and everything. Give me a follow on Instagram. All of it helps, right? Just knowing that we have more and more people, we're building a bigger audience, that helps the show to continue to build and to continue to start to bring in just a couple of dollars to be able to buy me a coffee once a month, right? So I appreciate it. That being said, if you do want to support the show, you can send me a tip through my my Twitter bio. If you go on there, you can send a tip to me. Not asking for it or anything, but if you feel obliged, I'd be happy. I'm happy to take it. So helps me buy coffee every month. But I appreciate it so much. I'll see you all on Wednesday. See you all then. But with that, this has been Spin Cycle Live. I have been Nathan Hale. We will see you on Wednesday. Peace out.